What's going on, everybody? It's Detroit Gamesters here with episode 14. Me and Arjun are hanging out. I know it's been a while since our last podcast. I think it's been just about 3 weeks.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, so we were thinking if it would be worth it to squeeze one in last week. We just kind of didn't feel like we had a lot of material. I think now that we're actually podcasting, I'm starting to realize that in the summers, I really don't game that much, which I never realized because I felt like I gamed a lot over the year. But like in hindsight, I felt like in February, March, April, like for each of these shows, I would have at least like two games that I like significantly played or beat. And now I look back at how much I gamed the last couple of weeks. I'm like, oh, dude, I didn't beat a single game. I just played a couple hours here and there.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's all about growing up, right? It's like you realize you have pockets of times during the year where you play a lot, and summer just happens to be good weather. So I think we're spending more time outside,
especially since we're like Detroit Gamesters, right? Like, I feel like for us, like, I feel like most people in the Midwest, they're going to game a lot in the wintertime, right?
Yeah.
And then the summer, like, they just have life or vacation or this or that,
Yeah.
And, like, the amount of daylight you get makes a huge difference because when I come home from work and it's already dark, I'm kind of like, screw it. I'm just going to turn on my Xbox and, hibernate. But when I come home and it's, like, light until 10 o'clock, I'm like, oh, no, I want to go to the pool. I want to go for a walk, go for a run. So,
go to the gym.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And spend time with family, yeah.
Yeah, and you've been gone too, right? You went over to Georgia?
Yeah, I went to Georgia to visit a friend, so it's been a week and a half. So, and then coming back, just hectic with work, so it's always full swing.
And I think it was probably hotter in Michigan than Georgia because, man, it was brutal out here. It was like 100 degrees.
It was hotter, yeah. That's how crazy it was. I was in Georgia for a week. Pure luck, but it was raining 78 to 85 degrees. Perfect weather. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Way better than Michigan.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess this is just my stereotype, but I always just pictured like Georgia, Atlanta, like, oh, it's in the South, like it's going to be like boiling hot in the summer.
It is.
And maybe it was just like an off week for you.
It was an off week. My friends kept joking that I brought the rain with me. Yeah. And I'm like, they said just before I came, it was consistently 100 to 110.
Oh, that's death.
For 2 months.
That's so death. So, and I think for Michigan too, I don't know, it's just so temperamental. It's so random. Like there's been times where I've went like pretty significantly far, like overseas, like Hawaii or, like some of those like tropical places. And I'll pull up my weather app and be like, what in the world? Why is Michigan like boiling hot? But so anyways,
global warming.
Right. Well, that should be the whole planet, right?
Yeah.
But I guess that kind of catches up a little bit about what we've been up to. But, we can get started with the show. So usually we like to start off with what we've been playing. And I think probably you haven't really gamed much, right?
Yeah,
so,
I literally have not touched a
like literally.
two games.
So I guess it might be like a lot of like my experiences because I've still been able to play a little here and there.
I will say this, though. I feel so good beating Ninja Gaiden Black 2 that
I
shouldn't pick up another game for a while. That's how broken I was from that game.
Wait, remind me, did you beat it by the time we had our last podcast?
I did.
Man.
I did. But I felt so broken that I'm like, I need like a month to recharge anyways.
So I guess this kind of fits into this, but did you look at any of the coverage that I think it was IGN and GameSpot
I've only seen a couple minutes of the preview coverage for Ninja Gaiden 4, but I think it has a lot of positive preview impressions.
A lot of people were really liking it. I mean, I think I walked away from it with kind of a mixed bag. Like, I feel like it's one of those things where, like, as a fanboy, I get these, like, crazy expectations and the hype builds up. And I feel like this was good news overall, but it was also kind of, like, realistic news, right? Because I kind of had this feeling that, like, oh, yeah, they're just going to, like revolutionize Ninja Gaiden and just, like, make it epic. And from what I'm hearing from, like, some of these previews, like, it's really good. The gameplay feels really nice. And it seems to be a good blend of both Platinum games, like kind of really crazy action heavy, like a lot of things going on at once, kind of action, plus, some of the quirks, with the Ninja Gaiden series. So that's awesome. But then you kind of remember that some of the quirks of the Ninja Gaiden series are like kind of weird, So I think it was the GameSpot review, but they were talking about how the traversal sometimes isn't the smoothest, which I do feel like is kind of true.
It's always
and the camera looks way better, at least from the gameplay footage. Like, I haven't played it, so I don't know for sure, but it still doesn't look necessarily as smooth as like some of the other like most recent third-person action games. But what I heard a lot of those previewers say was, hey, if you take too much of this away, it's going to lose the essence of Ninja
Yeah.
Gaiden, right? So it's like kind of striking that fair balance. So I'm pretty hyped on the game, but I think it's more like a realistic hype, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I think if I had to guess, like an
It's gonna be
open
like
critic score, I feel like it's gonna be like an 84.
yeah, it feels like 82, 84. Like
Yeah,
that's where I'm at too.
and I think there
And
might be a bit of a backlash because I don't know why people didn't realize this initially, but I was just like, bored and reading YouTube comments. And people were like, oh, wait, like Ryu is not the main character, like one in the world. And I'm like, yeah, they kind of like said that early on, but
yeah, they
I
mentioned
can
that.
see that rub people the wrong way, right?
Well, the preview showed. I think a lot of people had the preview with Ryu playing in the demo for this like preview coverage. Which again, I'm pretty sure they're doing that just for a marketing thing, so that in the
Yeah,
game it's not going to probably be in there as often. The other thing is like I hope the camera has been somewhat fixed
oh,
because
yeah,
between this and me playing in really old Ninja Gaiden, that was so clunky and bad.
yeah,
I'm like they need to at least like that might give it its quirk, but they have to fix that.
yeah. I
Like,
mean, it definitely looks better,
it reminds me of Devil May Cry gameplay. Like it legitimately, like it
Yes.
looked like DMC5, and I'm like, okay, I can get with that because I played that before. I'm like, I like that. But now, does that mean there's a lot of depth? These it's just literally platform to platform, and then you fight, and then
Yeah.
it gates you like Ninja Gaiden always has, and then you go to the next section.
I kind of had a similar vibe when I was watching it, like with the combos and the action and everything. And then, if I'm remembering correctly on DMC5, like you got to play as multiple
Yep, multiple
characters, right? So I was like, oh, I feel like they're kind of going for that vibe. But I feel like DMC5 sets a really high bar because
It
that
does.
game got really hectic, but man, that camera kept up,
Yeah, I
right?
really did.
And so I felt like that was one of the best examples of like the good use of camera in a hectic
Yeah,
game.
I agree, and I'm curious to know because I think the combat director of DMC5 ended up being the combat director for Final Fantasy 16. So I'm going to be curious to see how this gameplay maybe lines up
Yeah.
with those two games. Also, just a comparison with Final Fantasy 16, you played it. I haven't yet. So it was pretty combo heavy, hectic.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it was pretty good. I think that was actually one of the strongest parts of Final Fantasy 16. I mean, I personally like the action overall in Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth like way better because it was a little slower, so the camera movement just felt like a little better. But honestly, it kept up. I can say it worked out. I mean, it was running pretty solid 60.
Wasn't there camera issues on FF16 that you complained about? I can't remember.
Well, I think the one thing I complained about, which I don't know why no one else why it didn't bother them, but maybe I'm just weird and it really bothered me. Like the what is it, the LOD or whatever, like the distance draw is really terrible.
Yeah.
So when you're on when you're on these open fields, like you'll see these birds in the background, you're like, and they're gonna fight and they're literally like moving at like 2 frames per second.
Man, the
And it
Pokemon
just
effect.
felt so bad. And I was like, how is this? Like kind of the top tier graphics and everyone is going on and on about, oh, these graphics are amazing. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just like way too close to the TV, but come on, guys, like this looks really bad.
That's so funny because that sounds like exactly the from Pokemon Violet Scarlet had, where everything in the background was like running at 2 frames per second.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's
dude,
exactly
like,
what it was like.
Everyone complained about that.
But everything like close up was fine. But like again, like 98, 99% of the game was fine. Like but I was kind of cherry picking. But like really, it just
That's a big problem.
after you see it once,
Yeah,
it just
you can't
really
unsee it.
like sticks out to you. You know.
So that is a problem. That is something to. It's not nitpicking. That's a big issue.
But yeah, I'm actually think I'm more and more excited going into it, and I guess it's nice to know that hey, it's already August, so that's not that far away, right? That's October, so that's just 2 months away, and then we're gonna be locked and loaded.
Dude, can you this Borderlands 4 comes out next month?
No
Ninja
way.
Gaiden 4 comes out 2 months from now.
I feel like we were just in June, and we were just like watching all the coverage of all the different shows, and now those games are actually coming up like real fast. So
I'm sure Metroid will be coming out real soon. So
when's Ghost coming out?
Ghost is coming October. Oh my god.
October is gonna be busy, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hibernate again. No one's gonna see me.
It's so funny, man. I mean, honestly, like for those that don't know, the fall weather in Michigan is actually still pretty nice. So it's like great to still get out.
Fall feels like summer nowadays. Honestly, like September and like even early October. So I guess that kind of ties into another point because I know we just said Ghost, and that reminded me of kind of my impressions of Assassin's Creed Shadow. So probably that's the game I've played the most.
Have you beaten it?
No, not even close. Maybe I put in like 3 more hours or something like that. But I don't know if I'm going to get back into it, honestly. Like, for me, the first hour was pretty interesting. Like, you got to alternate between the two characters, and I felt like the combat flow was pretty different. But now I kind of feel like it's kind of like the stereotypical thing to say, but I kind of do feel like it's a Ghost of Tsushima wannabe. Like,
That's so funny.
and it's like this.
And we're only talking about the first Ghost game.
Yeah, the first Ghost thing, and it's like they're pigeonholing me or like forcing me to do things I really don't want to do. Like I'm developed. Like there's this random kid, and there's all these interactions, which is just killing the pacing of the story, and random side characters going in, and it's just like not interesting conversations. And then, just like in if I remember in Ghost, they made you like go to a place and they had you wrote a haiku, which honestly I didn't really like, but it was pretty optional. And then there was like this one scene where I went to see like a animal, and then all of a sudden I started drawing the animal, and I was like, yeah, this kind of feels too similar,
Okay.
and not in a good way. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but I think the gameplay is really good. Personally, I'm having more fun with like the Assassin's Creed Shadows combat than I ever did with Ghost of Tsushima. So that's kind of a pro going in Assassin's Creed's side, but yeah, overall I think it's kind of slowing down for me, and now the world just kind of opened up, and I have like multiple targets I have to chase after, and maybe I just haven't played an Assassin's Creed game in long like it's been a while, right? Because there's all this like weird stuff, like almost like base building, and it just feels like too much. Like, maybe I'm just an oldie, but I just miss the old Assassin's Creed games where like it's like very clear, like go from X to Y to Z, and there's a great story along the way, And I just feel that Ubisoft bloat, and it's really killing my drive to blast through the game, even though I really like the combat. The setting is really cool. I think the graphics are pretty good, but I just don't want to have to go through this bloated world,
Yeah,
and doing stuff I don't want to do.
that's fair. I mean, there's rumors right now that I think Assassin's Creed 4 is being remade, so that's kind of maybe to the older design that they
Yeah.
cater to. So I don't know. I like Assassin's Creed Shadow the way it looks. I haven't touched it, and I know it's coming out on the Switch too, and maybe I'll pick it up then because I think that would be a fun game to play portably. I know it
Yeah.
looks great on the PlayStation 5 Pro. I know a lot of people have been saying it looks really enhanced, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things that really isn't a priority for me. It looks interesting though, but
Yeah.
I also want to see how Ghost of Yotai ends up being.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ghost of Yotai is going to blow it out of the water, honestly. I mean, I think we talked about it last time. Like, yeah, maybe it's just me, but I didn't love the gameplay of the first one, and I kind of feel like I'm not gonna love the gameplay of the second one. Like it's good, but it's just not something I fell in love with.
Sure.
But everything else about the game seems like a really good package.
Okay.
So we'll see if I get back in Assassin's Creed Shadows. I guess the one game I wanted to talk about the most because I feel like the whole internet is talking about it is the Battlefield beta.
Yeah.
So
Open beta.
yeah, the open beta. So I hopped on a little bit yesterday, and I wanted to play again today, which is a good sign. But I'm an idiot, and I didn't realize it was just the weekend.
Yeah,
so I was so disappointed when I couldn't play today.
I hate how they do these 2 day stretches for like 2 weeks only at a time. It's the dumbest thing. If you're gonna do an open beta, especially right before the game releases, just let it go for a month.
I know that'd be so nice, right?
You're getting
But I
stress
think
testing the servers anyways.
yeah, but I think it kind of builds up like word of mouth and hype, and then it's like that feeling of loss, because like
Yeah.
now that I got a taste, I just like, oh, I want the whole package.
That's
But I guess I can tell you some of my thoughts of Battlefield, and this is
Wait,
coming
before you do that, just for people to know, it broke a Steam record. At least for the beta, it had 500k,
560, I think, something like that.
yeah, 560k concurrent players that outdid Call of Duty,
yeah.
Modern Warfare,
Which is really impressive, honestly.
Yeah.
That I did not expect that.
and that's the 18 highest concurrent game for Steam.
Oh, that's impressive. So yeah, I guess I have some mixed feelings about the Battlefield beta, and this is coming from someone who has never been like a massive Battlefield fan. I don't think I was able to really get into like
4.
1 and 4 and 5 and 3.
4 happened to be the most popular of all
Yeah.
those. But
Honestly, I think the one I got the most into is like really old school, like Bad Company 2.
yeah, a lot of people love them.
That was honestly my favorite one. And so, the graphics are good. They're not as great as I anticipated,
Yeah,
because I already felt like the bar was set up so high from like Battlefield 1 and 5 that now I'm playing 6, and I'm like, I kind of wanted to see something I haven't seen before,
Yeah.
like whether that's particle effects or something. It's really grounded. The sound design is just impeccable. So those things I definitely feel like a leap forward.
What about the destruction?
Destruction, at least the maps I played, it wasn't like crazy with the destruction because they're really tight quarters. But it was pretty good. I don't think there was anything graphically that blew me away. Like I had that like next gen moment, like oh my god, how is this possible, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there wasn't anything where I was like, oh yeah, this is really bad, right? This is disappointing. So I think it did just enough, you know. But I don't think it blew me away from the graphic standpoint. Gameplay, I like the class system that's back now, which is like really we just went in a circle.
Yeah.
And I think the gameplay is tight and responsive, but and I was playing before I was keeping track of all the discourse online, and I didn't think any other people would note this. I thought maybe it was just like my weird take, but the time to kill really felt off for me when I started playing, and
Is it short or long?
it's really short. So I actually liked it because I played more Call of Duty, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel to me I really like Halo and Call of Duty because Call of Duty is really quick. So when I want that quick kill,
Yeah, exactly.
that's the fix. And then Halo to me is a little more tactical,
Yeah.
right? And then so Battlefield always just existed in kind of the medium space. And personally, I was just never good at it. So I just stayed away from Battlefield games. But the time to kill felt just like Call of Duty. And it was kind of shocking. And it felt to me that the assault rifle, especially for the assault class, the time to kill was so quick and the bullet magazine count was really small. So I was just like killing people in like 6 shots. And I was like, what in the world?
Yeah, I did see people complain that like magazine count was just like very low. It is hard to like.
So it just kind of impacted the flow of the game a little bit where I felt like I was killing people faster than I expected and reloading faster than I expected. But that was fine to me because Battlefield's also kind of tactical. So, it's not like I want to try and run in and kill like 80 people at the same time, right? So that was fine. So overall, like I really did like the beta. It was kind of like an 8 out of 10 experience to me, and I think
Pretty good for beta.
yeah, and I think and it was pretty good performance and everything. It was interesting when I loaded in. It told me like I was like 200. There was like 16,000 people ahead of me or something like that,
Crazy.
and then it instantly loaded like 10 seconds later. So
Wow.
I was like, okay, that's weird. And I think
the beta wasn't a disaster though. That means they had a lot of server capacity.
yeah, but I think I have a few takeaways, both positive and negative, right? So I think the positive part of the story for me is wow, like this, it's amazing that like a franchise that people had totally abandoned just a few years ago and everyone was like, yeah, Battlefield is gone forever. Like it's kind of cool again, right? And everyone's talking about it. And it hasn't been that long since the last Battlefield, right?
It's not that it hasn't been long since the last Battlefield. It's like it's been a while since the last one was enjoyed online.
True, true. But the reason I say this is because it's been a long time since people have enjoyed a Battlefield game, like across the board. But it hasn't been that long since a Battlefield game has
That's
come
true.
out. So to me, it's fascinating how people have almost like forgotten.
Blinked it out of existence.
It's like blinked it out of existence. It's like just X'd it out and moved on.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like I thought there would be more baggage from like Battlefield 2042, but it's almost like that entire year just got forgotten. And I was like, what? And I think this kind of talks about internet culture where it's like so one way or the other. Like everyone was ready to hang CD Projekt Red and they hated Cyberpunk and going on. And I played it and I was like, guys, this isn't that bad on launch, right?
Yeah.
And then Edge Runners came out. No, the Phantom Liberty came out, and then everyone loved it so much. And I had a similar reaction where I'm like, guys, like the original one that came out was like an 8 out of 10 for me, and like this expansion is like a 9 out of 10. But people talk about it like it's a 2 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to me that Battlefield now, it's like I feel like a lot of people are like, this is 10 out of 10. This is gonna kill Call of Duty. This is gonna take over everything, and I'm like, whoa,
calm down. So
but
I feel like this just kind of demonstrates like the whole brand name and loyalty. Like people clearly like, so what it tells me is Battlefield's still a staple, a household staple. So you don't just forget something like that. And the fact that they released it, they're like, oh, this is literally what Battlefield 4 used to be. That's all we wanted. Now that's kind of how you know, because the numbers are speaking for
themselves. Which is a great lesson for developers. Like you don't have to just constantly reinvent everything, Like sometimes just give people what they want. And brand recognition goes a long way. Like, we talk all the time about give us Killzone back, give us Resistance back, let's wait for that next Halo game, that people really love across the board. Like there's so many shooters, right? And like even Doom, right? Like people were not really talking about Doom for a long time. Now Doom is a thing, right? People have always just hoped and prayed for Half-Life, but I feel like a lot of people have forgotten Half-Life, right? On the internet. But then when if 3 comes out, right, like it's going to be super popular, right? Or
Mhm.
like Team Fortress, like if they ever came out with the 3, that would sound like crazy, right?
Yeah.
So it's just nice to actually see an old franchise like resurrect,
Yeah.
and people love it across the board. Whether to me, it seems like it's people of all ages, right? It's
Yeah.
like not just our age group.
Yeah, just as a tangential quick one, but like I think we'll see the same with Borderlands 4. It's been 7 years since Borderlands 3 came out, and I think with a horrible movie in between, I think 4 will also sell well and have big numbers too.
Oh, that's gonna be so funny if people just blink the movie out of
Yeah,
existence.
like I feel like that's the same thing that happened. They're just like, we're gonna forget the bad thing. And we just wanted something good from this franchise. So no, it's good to see that. I mean, I really wanted to play the Battlefield beta, and I just didn't get to. But just remember, everyone, do not pre-order. I know this looks great, but like you said, can it sustain it? And honestly,
Yeah, I'm
they
not gonna
are
pre-order it.
they are gonna have a bunch of skins and stuff. So Call of Duty is doing something really asinine, in my opinion, with these really out-of-pocket skins and for both guns and the players. And I think some of it doesn't fit that universe, that world. And they said they're going to do something for Battlefield, but it said it should fit within the universe. So I just hope they don't go wacky with the whole thing, because I don't know. It's
Well,
just
so
kind
this is
of.
actually the point I wanted to talk about, right? Well, actually, before I forget your point, they did say they were going to make it like military-ish skin. They're not going to go too crazy.
Yeah. So then I'm like okay with that. But I think overall, again, I will check out the game if they have one more beta just before it launches. And if not, I will wait for people to play it.
Yeah. So right now, I'm not convinced if I'm going to buy it, and for me, it's a value proposition. And I'm surprised I don't see a lot of people talking about this. Like, I think right now it's really just like cool to like crap on Call of Duty, and honestly, Call of Duty does deserve it. That's fine. And they can handle it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like people were really gassing up Call of Duty Black Ops 6
I know.
last year, right? That was like, did we forget about how much we liked Black Ops 6?
Yeah.
But when you look at it from like a value proposition standpoint, like isn't Battlefield 6 just the multiplayer component? So
This one will have a single player actually.
it does have a single
This
player.
one will, yeah.
Have they shown any of the
trailer that came out a week ago? It was first a single player campaign trailer and then a multiplayer trailer. So yeah, I was surprised.
I didn't realize that. So if that's the case, then I might buy it.
Yeah, because that's fun.
I might buy it because I was under the impression if it was just like that portal mode and just multiplayer, and now I'm paying $70, and Call of Duty gives me a great campaign, multiplayer. I also get zombies. I get all of that together in a polished package. That's a huge value proposition.
Which is that's again the one thing that offsets, right? So not only does Call of Duty have zombie story and multiplayer, it also has Battle Royale, Warzone. So if Battlefield only has competitive, maybe Battle Royale, which is an uncertain thing at this point in time, and a single player, it's still going to have a hard time competing. So I don't know if it'll outdo Call of Duty, but
yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, I honestly don't think this is going to massively hurt Call of Duty because in a way I feel like talking about both of them, the more you talk about it, the more attention they both get, right? Because I think so much attention has been taken from the wave of battle royales and now the new wave of shooters, right? Or Splitgate or things like that. That a lot of time, I feel like sometimes Battlefield and Call of Duty gets relegated to the past, right? This is what people used to play back in the day, right? And so I think it's good. I think the fact that now there's more competition will inherently bring in more attention. I think both will really gain from it. And I don't think Black Ops 7 was going to do as good as Black Ops 6, regardless, right? Because I just feel like 6, it just came in as such a polished package.
Yeah.
And I guess it's maybe too early to see, right? Because we don't know anything about 7. But the rumors made it seem like they worked a long time on 6 and maybe not as much on 7.
So here's the problem. We're 3 months away from Battlefield being released. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 came out last October. How have they not revealed Black Ops 7 yet?
So they gave us that crappy trailer.
Did they give a trailer for 7? Oh yeah, that really.
But it wasn't
trailer.
even an actual trailer.
Yeah,
it was just
so
a reveal
bad.
trailer.
Look,
we got no gameplay, so I don't know what they're really waiting for.
Well, I'll say this: this is where Battlefield has a 1-up on Call of Duty right now. Their beta's already been out. They got great numbers, and it's 2 months away. I actually think Battlefield might actually have a 1-up now on Call of Duty just for this year.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's going to be a better game. It might just sell better.
So that brings up a really good point, right? Because if we're going by sales numbers, I actually think there's a good chance Battlefield 6 may outsell Black Ops 7, depending on how good it reviews and how much people love it. But Microsoft is not going to talk about the sales figures of Black Ops 7. They're only going to talk about the Game Pass users and how many people
True.
are playing online.
But
So then it'll be one of those things where we'll be like, okay, we're going off NPD, but like
yeah, Circana and
at the
NPD.
same time, like how many people do we subtract because they can play it on
Well,
Game Pass?
so it might not be about total player count now. It might be about revenue made for the given year. So
Oh, if you're talking revenue made, Call of Duty is going to be dead.
that's what you would think.
That's what I think.
That's
Yeah.
what you think. But now I'll be curious to see at the end of this year, at the beginning of the first quarter, or at the end of first quarter next year, who's at number one. Because Call of Duty is always, for like a full year, at the
Yeah.
top.
I think sales figures will be higher on Black Ops. There's a chance it'll be higher, but I think total revenue will be higher on Black Ops
Okay.
because people, and I hate microtransactions too.
But
People complain, but people buy so much stuff on Call of Duty.
It's
Like the
insane.
people we know who play Call of Duty,
Yeah.
how much have they spent on there? How many skins?
come
How
on.
much crap do they have?
Oh, legit. They got Gundam. They got.
We make so much fun of how ridiculous this stuff gets until we see like a skin that we think is just the coolest thing ever,
Yeah.
and then like you have to give it to Activision. Like they have turned the milking of a franchise into like a science.
Yeah,
right?
it's
Like
so ridiculous.
they're so good at it.
Like yesterday, I was watching a clip of Call of Duty Black Ops 6 where you can buy a skin where it's basically a roller coaster on the gun, and it's just like this crazy animation of like things coming out of the gun and all this stuff. And I'm like, it's so absurd. Like you don't need this, you know?
But people will buy it. Just the novelty of it, right?
Yeah.
Like people will totally get it. So we'll see. Now, I guess catching up on some other things. So I did play a bit of Donkey Kong Bonanza. Maybe like a hour or two more. I beat like one of the bosses. Honestly, maybe I'm just bad at the game, but the boss is kind of hard. Like I kind of struggled with it.
Everyone's been saying that.
Everyone's saying it's so easy, and I was like, well, what am I doing wrong, guys? Like, I think the controls are. Like, I don't have instant muscle memory with the controls yet, like the same way I do with Mario.
Okay.
So I think a part of it is just me, like, accidentally pressing the wrong buttons, right? But it's okay. Like, I just, I think it reviewed really well. It's a really fun game. I just don't see myself hooked to it in the same way, right? And as other games, and I think for me, like, I really blasted through Tears of the Kingdom because there was so much like novelty and just like constant dopamine like hits because I was like, oh man, like the sky's the limit. There's so much I can do, right? And then with Mario, I think it was just inherently cool with Odyssey to just like throw your hat onto other like creatures and play as them. But I think I'm running into the same problem I've had with other Mario games where like sometimes I just don't feel that drive to play the next level, right? Because there's like not like an instant rush of, oh my god, this is so different, right? Like going from like Wonder, right, to this, right? In Super Mario Wonder, like every single level you play, there's like a whole new mechanism, right? And that's just like so cool and always makes me want to play next. But with Donkey Kong Bonanza, like even though I can like destroy all this stuff and like beat the enemies in multiple ways, like it just doesn't hit me with that same like, oh my god, what is going to happen around this corner? Like, what new ability am I going to get? Right? It's like a really solid game, but it just hasn't hooked me in the same way like Wonder did, and then like Tears of the Kingdom, right? So
fair.
So I think I'll slowly work through it.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't started it yet. That'll be my goal for the next couple of weeks is to start it because I think I mentioned in our last episode I started playing Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. And again, what I'm starting to realize 2 to 3 hours in is that the controls are super cumbersome. And I get that when people played the game back when it was released, it maybe made sense. But with the game now being streamlined on the Switch, it's like I want to try the newer games to see how much easier it is. The controls are pretty clunky. So I think at this point I'm going to switch over to Donkey Kong, try to knock that out.
Yeah.
It's about a 15 to 20 hour game, I want to say.
Oh, really? I didn't realize it was that short. So I thought it would be a little longer. Which honestly I'm okay with 15 to 18 hours.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of a sweet spot for me.
Exactly.
So there's that, and then I know this is a game that I love talking about, but you probably don't like talking about it as much. Halo Infinite. So honestly, and I was just thinking about it, I was like, man, I kind of wish Halo Infinite would just come out on the PlayStation so people would actually pay attention to it. Because my god, after all the updates they've done, Halo Infinite is in such a good state right now. It's amazing. And this newest update is probably the biggest update they've ever released.
Is this the Halo 3 stuff or no?
No, they're like way beyond that. So They don't even have like the whole Halo 3 playlist anymore.
Wow, that's quick.
But they have like legacy playlists now. They just
Okay.
have so much content. It's insane. Like,
Hmm.
I think probably they have over 100 maps. And they have every game mode you could ever imagine pretty much in the game now,
Wow.
including Firefight. And it's all pretty polished. The customization is a little better now because now you can actually, such a basic thing that, it's amazing how long it took them. But now you can customize each weapon model with all of the different like
Oh, really?
colors and skins and everything.
God.
So, which I mean, it took forever, but it's like a nice little wrinkle.
Well, but again, the reason why they did that before, it was piecemeal and it took a while because the goal was to level up to attain, like, to grow and progress towards getting
Yeah.
certain parts, and but then it took too long. Now they're like, here you go, just
Yeah.
whatever.
So like now the customization actually to me feels like it's in a pretty good place. Like there's still obviously work to be done, but I don't think they'll ever do it because the player base is so small that really they have to charge these crazy prices on the shop, right?
Yeah.
And they're milking people like crazy. And the shop prices in Halo Infinite are probably like the worst I've ever seen. It's truly horrendous.
Predatory, maybe.
So, but I putting all that aside, like the new content in this update is surprisingly really good. So, what they're doing, you can tell it's like a few people working on this game, right? So instead of making new guns, right? They're like honestly, I think it's Forge. It's so flexible. They take the original model of a gun, right? So they took the shock rifle, right? That shot the electricity beams, and then they modeled stuff on top of it to make it look like a Covenant carbine. And then they basically change your rate of fire, like some things here and there, tweak the audio a little bit, and you have basically like a new gun.
Hmm.
If you like the only thing that makes it feel like the old gun is the reload animation is the same.
Wow.
But other than that, and I feel like it's a good way of giving us new content without actually doing much. So that's pretty cool. They have the Falcon back, which is pretty nice because it's almost like a warthog in the sky, and you get like 4 or 5 people in there. But really, I think what blew me away is just how many maps and modes there are. It's absurd. So I've been actually having a blast playing this Halo Infinite update.
It's good as long as you can matchmake with people and play, and hopefully the gap in skill between who's currently playing versus people still coming on isn't huge.
So I was like,
then it's
so I was following like Mint Blitz, and honestly, he got me back into it because his YouTube video popped in, and I watched it. I was like, oh man, they actually had a good amount in this update.
I think you need to unsubscribe.
No man, I love the guy. So, but it's really sad because like I don't get this information from Xbox and Halo. Like it's because I've watched a lot of Mint Blitz videos in the past that I realized, oh, this update is epic.
When are they gonna start paying this guy? Like he's
literally been carrying Halo on his back for so long. Like it's amazing. But yeah, like he really convinced me to download it, and I've been kind of like keeping track of some things here and there. It's like, oh, they got this new shotgun, this and that, but nothing really made me decide to jump in. But this latest update, I was like, okay, now I'm going to re-download, and I'm happy I did. Honestly, I'm still probably going to play a little bit here and there. So. And I mean, I had more fun playing it than Battlefield, but maybe that's just because I'm a Halo addict.
Yeah, you're a Halo addict.
And then I guess the last game I wanted to talk about was Ultra Sun and Moon. So I've been playing it, and I just been playing it somehow. Okay. And yeah, it's actually been kind of nice. Like I guess I kind of forgot what that old school Pokemon game feel was like, right? And it's like it really evokes a lot of those old memories from Ruby and Sapphire and things like that. But again, maybe I've just like not been paying attention to the Pokemon scene, but it's really, it kind of feels like a middle step, right? Like it feels like a bit like the Switch games, and it's like kind of 3D, but it still feels like the 2D games, right? Like when you're fighting the trainers, and like sometimes you have the illusion of being able to skip a trainer, but you really don't.
Yeah.
So
it was a half step, right? Like it was transitioning. This came out on the 3DS. So yeah, it was an interesting time when that game came out. It was okay in my opinion. I think the last great Pokemon game that was still 2D or 2.5D was Pokemon Black and White.
Was Black and White similar in like how it was 2.5D to Ultra Sun and Moon, or was it?
It's not like, it's more closer to like X and Y and the other.
I never played X and Y.
Yeah, those are.
I pretty much missed all the games. Like I played up to Diamond and Pearl, then I played nothing until the Switch.
Oh wow!
So I missed a big chunk.
you're missing out on probably some of the best Pokemon games because like Black and White were the most streamlined, super like quality of life changes, and it's difficult, and the story was great. So like that was like the complete package, and I think that was like the last great Pokemon.
And then was what, Black and White and Black and White 2?
Yeah,
And then what was after that, X and Y?
X and Y was before those, so
Really? Oh, I didn't realize that.
Well, no, Gen 5 is X and Y Gen 6. Or
I thought X and Y were before Sun and Moon because wasn't it on the 3DS? It wasn't Black and White on the DS.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's X and Y came after.
Okay.
But that actually, so that was technically the last like 2.5.
Oh, I see. And then Sun and Moon was kind of that mid step.
It's like the mid step.
And then after that, they were on the Switch.
Yeah, and then they became open.
Would you want more games that are like that mid step?
No, I'd rather stick to the old, like Black and White and X and Y were like the perfect middle ground in my opinion. I don't like the misstep of then going fully 3D and then having these areas where you just like it really defeats the purpose or like I don't know. I have a nostalgia for older Pokemon games, so that's probably biasing me there a bit. But I like the old pixel art more than the 3D stuff.
Yeah, I think for me it was more thinking I like this better than what I got on the Switch, right? And of course, I love how the original stuff was, but I don't know if you can make all the mainline games like that because a lot of people would probably just complain, "Oh, this looks so old, this looks so outdated," you know.
It have to be a smaller scope game.
Yeah, so that's kind of the challenge, right? Like, because I think about Zelda, right? Like, if it's cool if you get like a couple of what was it, Echoes and Link's Awakening and stuff like that. But if every game was like that and not Tears of the Kingdom, people would probably be like, all right, like I want something.
I agree, which I think that's why I think Pokemon has to go the route of doing multiple releases. One should be like old school Pokemon, and one should be continue innovating.
Like the 3D
like
stuff.
The 3D open, Like I think they have to do both. And now they have that with Legends and their current generation Pokemon. But I think Legends still is a little too open world and too 3D.
And have they announced what the non-Legends game is going to be?
No.
So we just know it's coming.
Yeah, the supposedly Gen 10 is coming next year.
Wow.
They haven't officially confirmed it, but now I wouldn't be shocked if somehow instead of Gen 10 next year, go, you know what? We're remaking Gen 5, which is Black and White. That would be interesting, but I hope they don't make it like they made Shining Pearl and Brilliant Diamond. They just didn't do so well.
Yeah. Interesting. So, I think you're the Pokemon guy. I like Pokemon, but I think you like Pokemon more than I do. So, what do you think is more worth playing for me? Ultra Sun and Moon or X and Y?
I think you'll actually enjoy X and Y a little more, to be quite honest, and Black and White, because just again, okay, so here's the thing. You will like Sun and Moon only because it's based off Hawaii.
That's actually kind of what made me download it because I love Hawaii.
Yeah, so
I was like, oh, it's so cool. It's like Pokemon in Hawaii. I gotta play it.
Yeah, so I'll actually say this: you should just stick with it at this point, just to enjoy it.
What did you think of the Ultra Beast? Like, I kind of want to play it because of the Ultra Beast and the Hawaii thing.
So that's another thing. That was the one great aspect of the game. Like, I thought it was a downgrade in terms of story and characters, but then the Ultra Beast was such a great idea, like that made up for it. But then I didn't realize it could get worse, and then when the Switch games came out, they got worse. So
wait, so were the Ultra Beasts in Sun and Moon?
Yes, the Ultra Beasts are in Sun and Moon.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so that's why it's so odd because when you start off, it's like this really happy-go thing where you're on islands and hopping around, and then all of a sudden they do Ultra Beasts, and you're like, what is going on?
Okay, yeah. Because I was having a similar vibe. I was like, a lot of Pokemon games are really like chill, but this game felt really chill. I was like, I don't even know where the next gym is.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like a little weird, but see, this is the balance they've struggled with, which is almost every Pokemon game has been very dark, and to some degree, there's like an organization that wants to take over the world, do stuff with Pokemon, enslave them. But when the Switch games came out, it was just kids in school bullying other people. Like, come on now. Like, it degraded so bad to the point where,
because I'm trying to remember, like, who were even the big bads in, like, Sword and Shield?
Sword and Shield.
And Scarlet... I remember Scarlet and Violet, it was the school. Although there was the one whole time thingy, which was, I guess, kind of random and interesting.
Yeah, it was a little weird. But Sword and Shield was... What's his name? Okay, so there's Leon the Champion, and you have that researcher, and then that guy, not the dean.
Oh yeah, because aren't they trying to bring back the the Eternatus or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
Internatus, and that
yeah.
was just like
I
nothing.
felt like that was just like a
And
side part of
it was
it,
a
you
side
know.
part. He was really just the chairman of the Champion League.
And I know you really like Black and White, so like I can't really compare because I haven't played that, but I just really loved like Ruby and Sapphire. Like I mean, my favorites are definitely Fire Red, right?
Yeah,
But I just love like the story of what is it, Kyogre and
yeah,
Ground Down, and just
yeah,
how that influences the land and the water, and how epic it was, and how it was misguided what the bad guys wanted, but
yeah,
like you could
yeah,
also kind of get the sense like, hey, if you're like really in the water, you're like
yeah.
screw all this
And
land, you know.
well, they also yeah, which is funny, but they also wanted to like reshape the world because like they saw like things wrong with the world that could have been better, and I think Black and White, their story is very similar to Ruby and
Oh, so I
Sapphire.
feel like I would like that.
Yeah,
But if they're just gonna remake Black and White, I feel like I should just wait because
that's
that's the next one, right? That they'll remake.
that's kind of the trend they were going on, but I think they also realized they got bashed so hard with Shining and Brilliant Pearl and Diamond that like again I don't know what their plan is. Like I don't know if they just
But they may have gotten bashed, but did it sell well?
it
Because
did
if
it
it
did
made
sell
them
well.
money,
It sold like 14 million units,
oh
which is
my god,
ridiculous.
that's so much
Which
money.
is ridiculous for like
That's so much
a
money.
game that only had like 2 years of development time. Like,
That's crazy. That's probably almost $1 billion.
yeah, man. See, this is the problem. So I don't know. I digress. I know we went off on a tangent.
I
But
know.
like,
Well, I feel like you could talk about Pokemon forever. I can talk about Halo
yeah,
forever. But anyways, yeah, I'm playing some more of that. So I think probably the game I'm going to play the most will probably be Ultra Sun.
that's good.
From now until next time around. I guess other things to talk about. Maybe we can jump into some of the breaking news,
Yeah.
right? Although it's not super breaking because it's been some time. I think the one that I wanted to talk about, really, there's two, but the one I really was surprised about out of everything in the last 3 weeks was the Switch One price increase. I did not see that coming
Yeah,
at all.
yeah, that was a big one.
And oh my gosh, like I guess this is a thing now. Like Oculus started it, and now Switch just
Yeah.
jumped on it too,
Well, don't forget Xbox did it as well.
and Xbox did it. But man, the Switches is just so shocking because it's been 8 years,
Yeah.
and they never dropped the price ever.
Ridiculous.
And now they increased it. And somehow PlayStation has not increased the price of the PS5, which in
Yeah.
America, which really shocks me.
But they did do it in other regions, right?
Oh yeah, they did in a bunch of other regions.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time because with Switch, they're doing it basically to combat tariffs
Yeah.
on the Switch 2. And they're like, we're going to increase the price of every single thing else besides the Switch 2, because they know people are going to continue to buy the Switch 1. And that kind of makes up a little bit for the margin, right?
Yeah.
But I
And
also.
if people are upset about the price of the Switch One, then it's like go buy a Switch Two.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's a way to entice people to get the Switch 2. So I think it's like it makes sense. Like I understand why they're doing it.
I totally get why they're doing it. It's just wow, did not expect
Yeah.
that. That would have never been in my
It's-
cards for 2025.
It's definitely a double dip because like, oh, you bought the Switch 1? We just made more money off of you. Oh wait, you don't want that because it's too expensive? Get the Switch 2 same price. Oh, it's like they
Yeah.
double dipped on everyone so hard there. But again, market conditions.
But
kind of-
like, and not to get too much into politics, because I'm just trying to get at it in like a kind of an objective lens, but I feel like I haven't noticed like a massive change in prices of things I've bought, like maybe here and there. And everyone has been talking about like inflation the last couple of years and how it's killing us. And I feel like now people don't focus on that as much. But it's kind of ironic to me that like of all the sectors where I'm actually noticing the pain, it's gaming.
yeah,
Like gaming is the one where everything's getting hurt. It's not like my egg prices of the things I'm buying. It's
or
like
my avocados or my bananas.
right, which I'm sure it's going up too. Not to downplay that, but it's so shocking with gaming because
Yeah.
I haven't really seen like massive change in 2021, 2023, 2025.
Well,
I mean, I know there was, but my God, this year it just feels
Yeah.
like gaming has gotten
Well,
really expensive.
Think about like now why Sony had been chasing live service in this climate. It almost makes more sense to create one game that can sustain for 5 or 10 years, where people like just spend on occasion. Because, dude, gaming is such an expensive hobby now. It's always been expensive for the last several decades, but people had more money to spend. Now it's like, dude, people can't afford 2 games in a year. People can't afford 3 games in a year.
Yeah,
with
I mean,
a console.
it's getting nuts, right? And like, even that day, me and you were at that GameStop, and I was like listening to like parents who are like buying their kids
Yeah.
Switch 2s, and I'm just like, oh my God, like you're shelling out like $530. when I was a kid, if I
Couldn't
asked
do
my
that.
dad for that, he'd smack me. He'd be like,
Yeah,
"What's wrong with you?" I had to like save forever to
yeah,
buy an Xbox One, and that was like $200.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
$30 if that. You
Yeah,
know.
399. Yeah, 399. Which again,
Well, no, not sorry, not Xbox One. I meant like Xbox OG.
oh,
You
OG,
know, because I feel like
OG
when I bought
push.
that, that was probably like $200, and
Yeah,
it was a couple years after it came out.
which makes sense. Yeah, which I mean, I did the same with my family because like we had to split the cost between like 3 to 4 people just to get one console.
Yeah.
Like it was insane. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
So
I'm
I
not.
wanted to get that one out of the way. I guess kind of some fun stories real quick. I thought the whole story about those Pokemon cards in the McDonald's
Yeah.
boxes was hilarious. I can't believe people were just buying a ton of. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. They were
Yeah.
just buying a bunch of these like kits, right? And
Yeah.
just to get the cards
Kids
and, and they
meals.
were like
Yeah.
throwing the food away. They didn't even care
Yeah,
for
which
the
is
food.
crazy. But you know, it also tells you like this is most likely not kids doing this. This is most likely scalpers that are then taking it and trying to sell it online. I think personally, I don't think it's a bunch of kids just going out and buying it.
Bro, at what point do we say is enough?
And it's never enough.
At what point do we say like, guys, chill on these Pokemon cards?
I've been thinking that for a while now, and which is why I stopped buying cards for the last like 6 months. I'm like, enough is enough, but I don't think other people see it that way right now, man.
Like we're literally throwing away food just to get a plastic card. Like I feel like this is something they
Look,
should make fun of in South Park.
yeah, dude, it should be, and if they haven't already, they need to because again, I told you right a couple months ago, I camped out for 17 hours just to get
I
cards.
can't believe you did that.
Like I'm not doing that again. That's over, but people are still doing it. So I don't know, man. I don't know when it ever ends at this point. And look, there was a period just before the pandemic when people weren't doing that. Pokemon had fallen off a cliff. Pokemon cards, right? Not everything else. Not the other merchandise. But now it just picked up because of the pandemic. And I think it's trading cards in general. Now
Yeah.
people think they can make a quick buck, when in reality you're probably losing more money than you're actually.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of the new Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Everyone,
Yeah.
right? And it's crazy to me that people I know who are not into Pokemon cards will like strike up a conversation with me randomly. Like we're talking about stuff, and like Pokemon cards come up, and they like know about how expensive they are and how everyone's buying them. And I'm like, when did this become
like,
common knowledge?
It's so funny that you say that because it's almost like bartering at this point. It's like gold or something. It's like, dude, if you give me this graded card, I'll give you like all these things I have. Like, wow, okay, when did that become a currency?
Yeah. So I guess with some of those things away, we can talk about some of what I thought were the more important pieces of news in the last couple of weeks. So some of these game cancellations. So I guess two in particular, Contraband and Bioshock. So
Yeah.
out of those two, Arjun, which one kind of hit you hardest or surprised you most?
I think both in different ways. Like I'll start with Bioshock because basically Bloomberg confirmed that Bioshock One was being remade by Take Two, and I forgot the studio's name that was creating it. So it's not the original studio, nor is it Zach Levine that's kind of involved in this project. But I guess it was canceled. And then on top of that, Bioshock 4 is being made, and they're having a complete narrative overhaul. So the director of the game has been let go, and another very high executive that was part of the studio left or is taken over in a smaller capacity or something like that. So I just thought it was interesting because like you would think a remake of Bioshock 1 would be fairly easy, especially seeing all the remakes we've been getting now. But maybe they were trying to do it with a proprietary engine, and maybe honestly, like I feel like Bioshock 1 is so unique that like it shouldn't be remade, in my opinion. Like the way that game looked at the time, I feel like it shouldn't be touched. But that's just me kind of thinking out loud. But with Bioshock 4, like you also have three really great games. Like, what's the point of continuing that series? Like, I don't know if it needed a fourth game. Now, Take Two's the CEO was saying like, "Hey, like we're committing." Like, they never confirmed Bioshock 4 was actually in development, and then he came out last week saying we're committed to getting something new out in this series. So it was very interesting to hear him say that. So I don't know what that really means. Like, are they really far along, and this is going to be a quick thing, like a 6 month to 1 year thing turnaround? I don't know, or maybe it gets into development hell for a couple more years. And then with Contraband, also interesting because it was the Just Cause developer that's been working on this for the last 4 or 5 years. And then all of a sudden for it to just kind of go on pause, or basically what they said on their website is we're trying to now ideate about what to do next. And it didn't sound like it was canceled, but then again, Bloomberg confirmed that it basically was.
Yeah, that's what I found really weird about the wording, right? It really kind of sounded like Big Daddy Xbox don't want to pay no more because they don't like our check-ins, so we need someone else to pay for us. So we're gonna pause until then.
Which I could see them picking it up maybe with a different publisher. I don't know. Like it's
Yeah.
weird.
I mean, again, it's just one of those things where it's like, it's been 4 years.
It's a long
Like
time.
now you're gonna pause the development.
Like something that obviously didn't go right for them to have said we can't continue with what we have. But do we know what Contraband actually was?
From what I remember, it was some sort of like heist action adventure, like multiplayer type game.
Like Crackdown or something?
I think it was supposed to be more kind of like that GTA 5 online mode, with some of the heists with that. But honestly, I don't really know much more than that. I mean, if you take GTA 5 online and you mix that with Just Cause, that sounds really cool, right?
Yeah, sounds really interesting.
Yeah, so, but man, 4 to 5 years, that sucks.
It sounds like the same thing with Perfect Dark, like 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. Like, I think this is one where I was just waiting for the cancellation because I was like, it's been so long, we've got nothing. They're going to cancel it, right? So I wasn't surprised, but I think for me, the fact that Microsoft is spacing these out kind of makes me think that you were right, and I know you love hearing that. Microsoft's still cutting, man. Yeah. They're still cutting,
It's not done yet.
And it's not done yet, and I would not be surprised if within the next 6 months another studio goes.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it's Ninja Theory, even though I like Ninja Theory, I don't want them to go because there really isn't anyone that's focusing on like mental health in video games, and I just, obviously that's going to speak to me, but I think someone else is going to get cut in 6 months.
What's the studio that made Psychonauts again?
Double Fine.
I could see Double Fine. I could see it.
You're waiting for. I mean, their next game is coming out, so
they might just wait until it gets released, and then they.
That's the thing that sucks with Microsoft. It's like, if you haven't heard from a game in a while, there's a fear it'll get canceled. Yeah. If the game just came out, then there's a fear the studio's gonna get.
You're never safe.
You're never safe.
See, again, I think this is because the way the market. Okay, I'm not gonna just blame the market, the economy. Microsoft is contributing to the fact that the economy and the market is the way it is. They're just taking a hard pivot now. In like they're literally like, we have to be lean. We have to save a lot of money. This stuff is costing too much, regardless of how much they've saved up in their treasure chest or their trove. They're just saying like, we just have to save for the future.
I mean, I don't agree with it, but obviously Microsoft is Microsoft, and they probably know better than me. I just think you can't treat creative projects the same way you treat AI and, like Office.
Or Office, 365.
And it seems to me that, like, that's kind of how they're dealing with it, right? But,
I mean, again, the creative process is a little different, that it takes years to come up with a plot, a story, an idea of a game that could, like, either be a complete bust or just, skyrocket.
And again, I think we talked about this, but, like, I think in the professional world, if you have a good product, like, you should expect good results, right? But I think in the creative world, you can have a good product, but if the audience is not interested because they're distracted with something else, the market's super saturated, the timing is off, right? Yeah. The marketing itself is not great for the product, then you can have something that just falls, right? Flat, and it could be a terrific game.
Yeah.
You don't really see that, I feel like, with like Office and,
Yeah. It's a product that's just used for every day for productivity, and people get it.
It's not like people are getting hyped over Copilot Plus,
They're
like,
or maybe they are, but
I think most people are just like, okay, how does this?
Yeah,
this is just something I'm going to use to do my work and move on with my life.
Yeah,
it's just like the big Microsoft, like, fanboys.
Which now when I think about it, like, just again to compare, like Hazelight Studios for EA, they came in. This guy again, Joseph Ferris, indie movie producer, director, comes in, makes 3 games, 4 games, whatever it is. They all are like a massive hit. Yeah.
But can you imagine if, like, you're like, hey, we didn't like the numbers for A Way Out, and we're cutting you, or we're cutting half your team.
Right.
How are you going to make It Takes Two?
Yeah,
right?
You're not. But they will do that. They'll give them a skeleton crew and they'll, like, figure it out.
Yeah, like, you didn't perform enough on A Way Out, so now you have to make a better game with half the people.
And guess what? The next game will do even worse,
and then
they're gone.
Cut them.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess that's kind of the. I guess one more thing with Microsoft, because I kind of want to talk about Microsoft, and then we can talk about Sony, because I think there's some interesting stuff to talk about Sony. So Game Pass apparently made $5 billion in revenue, which I think, like, it just sounds like a massive figure, but I don't think it's as massive as people are thinking
Yeah, hard to tell.
because yeah, that's a lot of revenue, right, for Game Pass. But if you think about it, like Sony has like 120 million subscribers or something
Right.
like that, right, on PlayStation between PS4 and PS5. They're bringing in like a ton of revenue. Like I think I
Yeah,
looked it up, and it's obviously all of PlayStation, but they're bringing in like maybe 20 or 30 or
that's
something
good.
like that. So I feel like PlayStation Plus is still probably bringing in more revenue
Yeah, I
than
could see
Game
that.
Pass,
I could see
and
that.
it's to be expected because like it's so much bigger. But like that's not the only source of revenue for PlayStation, right? And
Right.
for Xbox, like that's pretty much the majority of their stuff because their consoles are selling terribly,
Yeah.
right? So it's like Sony is kind of like really double winning there because their console sales are up, right?
Yeah.
Because probably people who buy the Xbox are now switching over to PS5, right?
Yeah.
And they're making a ton of people on their subscribers, right?
Yeah.
Because if now you just have a higher install base, you're naturally going to get more subscribers.
Yeah.
While Microsoft has to like fight tooth and nail to get subscribers with these amazing deals, right? So, I think not to rain on Xbox's parade too much because really that's a great accomplishment. I'm loving the growth there, and I do think a big part of it's Call of Duty.
Well, do we know the year-over-year growth for Game Pass? So if they're
They don't
saying
talk
five,
about it too much.
okay,
I think like, and I don't remember off the top of my head. I should have looked it up, but the year-on-year growth is pretty good. I think it's 8 or 11% or something like
okay.
that.
So
And that's
there's
even though console sales I think dropped like 22%,
amount.
something along those lines.
Go.
So I mean, there's good growth at Microsoft. Like there's no denying that. But it's just like I don't want to get like too hyped up on the growth, right? Because the 5 billion is amazing for the console base that Microsoft has, but their competitor has so many people
Yeah.
on the PlayStation Plus platform.
I mean, you gotta also think about it this way. I look at it from another angle. This is probably what saved Phil Spencer's job and why he got promoted to CEO. Like, they probably looked at it and go, okay, we're failing in one space, which is the hardware business. But you found another way to create a growth sector for this same division, and that's Game Pass. And they go, wait a minute, we can also monetize this? Oh my God. So I think that's really the reason not only why he kept his job, why he got promoted. So in my opinion, he probably looks like a godsend internally into the company.
But like, if you're looking straight numbers, like more and more, I know Microsoft says we're going to keep making consoles, but man, like the money is not in their consoles right now.
Yeah,
Like it's dropping hard, 20 something, 15 or
Yeah,
20% drops in a year. That's rough.
But maybe like if the numbers can keep going. So now again, we know most of the Game Pass subscribers are on console rather than PC. But if they're still seeing year-over-year growth with that small,
I think it's PC growth.
You think it's PC? Oh, that'll be interesting, man. I would love to know the split, man. I would really love to know.
Never tell. They never say it, dude. It's so annoying.
But then again, think about it this way: if it's really PC growth that's contributing to the better numbers potentially, who cares if the console doesn't sell as well? They'll do another generation.
So I think that's why like Microsoft doesn't care.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we're making money, we're good. Let's keep going, business as usual.
Again, which is why Phil Spencer has a job. So, my opinion, he looks like a hero.
Yeah.
To their shareholders.
Yeah. So I guess good for them. Anything else about Xbox you want to talk about? You want to switch gears and? Oh, I guess I'm sorry. I blew past it. I didn't get to finish talking about the Bioshock remake stuff.
Yeah.
So let's just finish up that conversation real quick, and then we'll talk about PlayStation. I'm a huge Bioshock fanboy. I think I made a list of my favorite games of all time. I want to say number 3 was Bioshock, if not 3 or 4. So really, that's high up there. And so I get your point about how Bioshock was just so well done, and like I would be afraid of like a remake ruining that. But honestly, I just want other people to experience Bioshock, so I'm totally for a remake. I would not think it would be hard to make, so I don't know where the struggle is.
Yeah.
I think the struggle, the gameplay and the story are already so good. I don't see what you need to change about the game. Right? Really, I think it came out almost perfect, and I think it holds even in today's day and age. And with Bioshock 4, I'm happy that the franchise is still alive, right? So I don't want it completely gone. But Bioshock is one of those things where like it kind of did leave in a good place, right? So like I think of Witcher and Witcher 3, like it ended in a good place. Do I want Witcher 4? Absolutely. But am I kind of worried about where you're going to go, right? Yeah. And at least with Witcher 4, it seems like a lot of that studio is intact, right? But like Bioshock 4, like those Bioshock people are like gone,
Yeah,
right?
gone.
So
And
I'm
Ken Levine is too busy making Judas, so does he really have a lot of time to help supervise this?
so I don't know what they would do if they would do like more like Infinite Two, because we had a Bioshock One and Two that was underwater, and then we never really got a sequel to Infinite.
Yeah,
Didn't really need one,
right.
But so I don't know. I think this is the news. This is news that hit me hard, but again, I don't think I'm entirely surprised because I feel like the Bioshock universe and whatever they're doing with the. I think they were trying to make a movie or TV show.
Yeah,
And
at one point.
I think all that stuff is just like lost in the ether, and
Yeah.
like obviously people have moved on to Judas,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm really excited for Judas. Now, if Judas comes out and just is like a huge failure, then I'm gonna be like, God, please bring back Bioshock. But I think Judas will deliver.
I think Judas will. I looked back at the gameplay not too long ago, like a month ago, and I'm like, okay, there's something here. I don't know if this was all pre-rendered or fake or not, but like it looks good. But we haven't heard from that for over a year.
And I feel like Judas kind of like jumped, like we went from underwater, which was really cool, to like high up in the sky. But like, where else can you go? Like, they're
Yeah.
going to be in a volcano. Like on Earth, there's like not a lot of other interesting, unique biomes you can do.
Exactly.
And Bioshock was kind of based off System Shock, if I'm remembering correctly, and I think that was in a spaceship.
Yeah.
Never played it, so Judas kind of feels like the natural progression, right? Where this is what that team should have done all along.
100%.
Okay, now moving on to PlayStation stuff. So, couple of news stories with that. Which one do you want to talk about, Arjun?
We can maybe just first talk about, again, this is more of like a quote, but I think their senior vice president of finance was talking recently about how they want to be measured more as a platform going forward. And I think, again, a lot of outlets ran with this quote here, but I think they were talking about not just video games, but entertainment in general. So like games, media, shows, movies, music, like it was like a whole hodgepodge of things they were talking about. So people misconstrued it, I think, a little bit, said, oh, they want to go multi-platform and now release all their games on a lot of systems. I think they will do that. We're seeing the writing on the wall, but I think they're going to continue their staggered approach of video game releases. So I think more or less they want to get IP out into multiple platforms in a home. So when it comes to making cartoon shows or movies or other content, like God of War, which is now being released on Amazon in a year or two. We've had Uncharted that became a movie, live action movie and stuff. I think they're going to continue down that path. That only started like a couple of years ago. Like they really started that initiative, and especially last was with HBO. I think they're not going to stop that this time. They never thought about that in the past, and I think this is just another way to get consumers to look at their products.
Yeah. So I think I was one of the people who jumped straight to the conclusion that they were thinking more multi-platform. And I think in hindsight, there's two things that made me jump to that conclusion. One, because when I hear that terminology, it makes me think of the exact same words Microsoft uses, right? And because they say platform, and that's what they mean, right?
Yeah.
Like, judge us by our Game Pass, judge us by our platform, like, don't judge us by our console sales and things like that. Which I do think they may have mentioned at some point, like, let's focus less on the console sales and talk about the platform. So I think that was a part of it. And I also just think kind of the timing, like, Helldivers 2 is now just coming out on Xbox, which is really the first time a PlayStation game has won, other than Death Stranding, right? And that was more really third party, right?
Yeah.
So I think when you take those two, like, and then the fact that there's been some L's with the online stuff that, free to play type of games, right? Like, or live service. I think putting all that together, I think that I can understand why a lot of people jump into that conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think it's interesting that like Sony is trying to get their shareholders to see a different picture of their business, even though from the outside it looks like their console business is doing amazing, right? Yeah. And so it makes you wonder, like, hey, if they do have all these subscribers, like I was talking about with PS Plus, all these console sales, why do they feel the need to kind of let their shareholders know, hey, we're kind of changing the strategy a bit? Yeah. Maybe that live service stuff really did hit them hard in their books, right? And like we're just not seeing that, But
I think they're signaling it before they. I don't think they want to. I don't know. I don't know if it's a reason to say we're not trying to scare our audience or our consumer base, because it's only a good thing if you're spreading out to multiple media
I
forms,
agree,
right? Like, I don't think it's bad.
It's just interesting timing though, because like I think and maybe I've just like used to a lot of Western companies, but like when I hear stuff like that, it kind of sounds
Well,
like,
yeah.
you
So
know, like, hey, everything is fine. We're
yeah,
just
yeah.
pivoting.
You
We're
should be a little
pivoting,
skeptic
right?
of
And
it.
then like that's what I've like come to get used to with like a lot of these
Yeah.
companies. Like Tesla is always like, everything is fine, guys. We're making a robot.
Yeah, yeah, and then it doesn't work
And
out
you're
the
kind
way
of like,
that.
okay, is everything actually
Yeah,
fine? Like,
yeah.
why are you
So I
making a
agree,
robot?
I agree with that. So there's some skepticism that should be there, but I think maybe what they're doing too. This is what I think it is. Consumers are probably like, wait a minute, we always buy your product specifically your console to play this game, but if you're telling me now I can instead of playing the game, I can watch a show on a completely different platform that's not associated with you. What's going on now? Why are you doing that? I always buy your product to play and watch that story. So I think that they're trying to not scare their current consumer base. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're signaling.
I get that. And I was just toying with this idea today, actually, in anticipation for this. So, hypothetical. I'm going to give you two hypothetical situations, and I want you to give me your thoughts. Okay. So, let's say all PlayStation exclusives came out on Xbox and PlayStation at the same time. Do you think that will actually significantly impact PlayStation sales? Or would
Like
people,
right now, we're talking about.
yeah, like say starting now, going forward, all PlayStation exclusives come out on Xbox, if not immediately, within 3 to 6 months. Do you think now all of a sudden people will stop buying the PS5 and start buying the Xbox? Yeah. Right? I thought about that,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my god. I think even if Ghost and all of these games came out at the same time, I don't see a massive shift of people buying
I don't
Xbox.
either.
Like maybe they'll like have a million people, maybe go, but
I don't even think it's
but
that. I think it's like if people would get upset, like, I'm no longer a loyal fan, but wait, I still want to play the game. Oh wait, I can still play it first on PlayStation. Like I don't think they lose a whole lot of people.
but what if it was day and date on both?
I think people would be upset, but they would still play the game.
Right? I think people will be very upset online. Everyone would freak out. People
Yeah.
talk about how Xbox is winning. But I don't think it would actually hurt PlayStation's console sales that much, because the people I talk to who have PlayStations or who even have both, right? There's such a strong dominance of PlayStation right now that I think people can objectively say Game Pass is amazing, and I think a
Yeah.
lot of overall most people will agree. But like just how cool PlayStation is, like how well known it is
Yeah.
across the board. Like it's hard to pull people away completely from PlayStation, right? Like people just end up buying both.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
And
Now let me ask you this. This is the second scenario. If every PlayStation game came out day and date on Steam and PlayStation, would people buy less PlayStations? I actually think they would. I actually do think people would buy less PlayStations
I think it
if
would be
every game came out on Steam on the same day.
Yeah,
Because there's a lot of
I could see
Steam,
it.
there's a lot of PC players that also buy a PS5. But I think
Yeah.
even if the games were both on PS5 and Xbox, you might have a little loss, but not that much.
Yeah, I think you're right. If it was day and date PC versus PlayStation, look, there's still like a massive consumer base that only does console because not only is it more affordable, things are streamlined. Like I don't have to go on my PC to change settings and do all this stuff. But like, yeah, I think like a third of their consumer base would be lost or something if they did the day and date on PC and PlayStation. Like I think it'd be a bigger impact for
Yeah.
sure.
So I just thought that was interesting. But on the flip side, you're also going to make a lot of sales on Steam. So I just think the numbers on that are interesting, right?
You're probably publishing, but you're not making a full 100% profit.
True, because Steam is taking so much.
Yeah.
Unless you try and make an individual PlayStation Studio store.
Yeah, which I don't know. How
Which
well that works.
you know how that is. But I just thought that was kind of fascinating. Let's see, a couple of other Sony news things.
Oh yeah, so Sony is integrating Bungie into PlayStation Studios. So again, their VP, the senior VP, also mentioned that this is a slow but ongoing process, and it basically tells me and signifies at this point why they didn't officially confirm it that Bungie did not make sales with their latest Destiny expansion.
Yeah.
They did not hit any milestones that they were hoping to hit, and this was an agreement initially upon merging with them or acquiring them that said if you can't meet these milestones, we're going to do whatever we need to do. And dude, they spent almost $4 billion. This is like utterly insane.
It's kind of a really bad mess. And I feel like, again, maybe I'm totally wrong, but as someone who played Destiny, right, not like a crazy amount, I think
What do
they
you mean? You
wanted.
played a crazy one, doesn't it? Get out of here.
Okay, I did play it quite a lot, but I didn't beat the last couple
Sure,
expansions.
sure.
But I think after Halo, that was my second most online played game online.
Yeah.
So okay, I have played quite a lot. I feel like they were trying to tee up the finale of Destiny 2 to the release of Marathon, so people would kind of transition into Marathon.
Yeah.
And hey, look, there's still some updates for Destiny, so you can still double dip, right?
Yeah.
But now that Marathon is being pushed back, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it got pushed back again, right? I think we're just in this weird place where there's people who want more Bungie games, and they don't really have much to play because there's not that much Destiny content.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of having people probably trickle out and
Yeah.
potentially exploring other shooters, which
Yeah.
is not what you want when you've created such a devoted fan base for like decades.
Decades, I'd say. I mean, it's crazy because you probably bought them not only for the Destiny IP, but you were like, we want them to help advise our teams internally on how to make live service. They did have some decision making for like Naughty Dog's live service games, and then now they're falling apart. And it's like you will never see your return on investment on.
And didn't they specifically say, "Hey, we're not worried about Activision Blizzard.
Yeah,
Bungie will give us more."
Yeah,
all of Activision Blizzard.
It's like, what the heck? And then on top of it, like they made the agreement, like they're gonna act as an independent studio and still be multi-platform. Guess what? Going forward, none of their games will probably be multi-platform.
Oh yeah, I mean Sony is just eating them up completely.
Yeah.
And I think for me, as someone who's really just loved Bungie from the start, right? Probably my favorite developer, if not top 3. It's just so ironic because Bungie was frustrated at Microsoft because they wanted independence, and so it was like the grass is greener on the other side. Screw you, Microsoft. Yeah. We're leaving. Let's just do Halo Reach and Halo 3 ODST so we finish our contract and move on. So then they go into Activision, and then what happened with Activision? Like Destiny 1, like that game didn't come out exactly how you expected. The story got rewritten a lot. It's unclear how much of that was Activision or how much of it was really just the upper echelon of Bungie just being kind of unrealistic. And then
Tencent.
And then Tencent. And then like finally like Sony comes in, which is like, we always wanted Halo, the Halo killer, and now we bought the people who made Halo. And they're gonna have independence, which is what Bungie always wanted. And now it's like they're back to where they started, but in a worse scenario. Yeah. And they're truly stripped of their independence. Yeah. And it's like it wasn't Microsoft who stripped you of your independence. It was like your desire to get away from Microsoft to get independence that ultimately led to your demise, right? Which is so ironic.
It's so ironic. But and I'm honestly like, and if it hasn't already happened, I think most of those executives in Bungie will probably be gone in the next couple of years. I think it's going to be a former shell of itself. And even if they, again, keep a team to maintain Destiny, that game is slowly fading at this point. Yeah. Like the last expansion I heard did not do well at all in terms of numbers. Yeah, and it's like, I think at this point they need to focus on a new game. If Marathon doesn't hit, fine. But then now work on another game for the next 3 to 4 years and get something out. They've been, a lot of games have been being worked on in conceptual stages there. They need to get out something different then.
I think if you're going to do Marathon, fine, right? But I think if you're making this a PlayStation Studios game, like bring that quality in the type of game I get, like similar to Uncharted, similar to God of War, like give me an epic first-person shooter campaign, right?
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Come on. Like, with like the level of quality writing, the level of production and cutscenes as God of War and all those things, like that would be epic.
That would be epic. So why not just give Bungie the ability to make Killzone or Resistance now, or SOCOM? Like, wouldn't it make more sense for them to now just
don't even do that, dude? You're gonna make me explode with happiness. I can't do that. I can't do that on camera.
That's what I would think. Because now that I think about it, like, okay, the only reason you would start integrating them as an internal studio now is not only of the mismanagement, but you're going to say you're going to work on IP that we want you to, because obviously nothing's been working. I actually think there's a possibility where they get to pick and choose something from the internal.
You made me too excited. I gotta cool down, bro. Dude, if Bungie got to make Killzone 4, oh my god, that'd be so sick.
Or a new SOCOM game.
Although I don't know if Killzone would be the best fit for Bungie because it's pretty tactical. But man, or if they jumped on Resistance.
Resistance would be.
Oh man, Bungie would make a killer Resistance game.
I think
they would make an amazing. if they rebooted Resistance
Dude.
1
Oh my
as a
God.
Bungie game,
And that could be a game they get easily into esports. They could make a great story and then say, here's competitive multiplayer with some battle royale that like we can reinvent this franchise. Like I could see them, or even SOCOM.
And what if they just made like an epic first person shoot? Like I kind of feel like that's a genre people aren't like paying attention to. Like I feel like you always have to like supplement these like first person shooter campaigns with like multiplayer modes, and then because of that, like at least what I'm seeing now is like neither of them are like a super quality product, right? Like back in 360 area, both of them could have been like a 10 out of 10, right? But like now I feel like we get a little bit above. Why don't you just make like an epic game like God of War, and it's just a single player first person shooter?
Yeah,
right, like Cyberpunk.
They
right?
could do that and make it like a semi open world or open world, and it's like Days Gone, or it's like Halo Infinite story. Like it'd be a great,
which I felt like was where Halo was heading, right? Like give us like a fully fleshed out like open world shooter game, but instead of like me running around with a sword, it's me running around with a gun, right? But it's like the same character arcs, everything. You can zoom out to third person for cutscenes if you wanted, or you can just keep it like one frame of view perspective. That would be sick.
Yeah, I think that would be really good. And they have a lot of opportunities now because again, man, we've known they've been failing at the whole first person shooter like initiative and venture that they've been going through at Sony for so long. Like now's the time. And like look again, here's another one that comes back, Battlefield 6. If they can revitalize themselves.
So that's Sony what I meant, like to start it off with, you know, if that's my hope, you know, if Battlefield came back that strong, that quickly, right? Yeah. You know, it's not over for anybody, right?
And like all EA did was like, look, we have the DNA, we have the blueprint, we just need to bring it back. You have a blueprint with Killzone and SOCOM specifically that fit current trends. And with Resistance, again, if you go the single player route, you have a blueprint there too. You guys know how to produce single player games.
Bungie is great with like their weapons that are kind of unique, and then they tie into physics and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's Resistance guns, right? Yeah. Like, oh, that'd be so good. So, but we'll see. Maybe we should send out some emails or leave some Twitter messages, right? Okay, let's see. I think that covers a lot of the Sony stuff. I guess there's a couple small things that we thought were kind of interesting. Mafia's out. I know we talked about that. Yeah, we were kind of excited for it, but we wanted to see how the reviews panned out. You know, I think it reviewed a little bit lower than I expected. I don't think it's low enough that I would never buy it. You know, I think it's like a 78 or 79 on OpenCritic. But, you know, at the same time, I don't know if that value proposition is worth it for me. You know, like...
I mean, that's the game I'll wait for, either Game Pass or like a $10 or $20.
Yeah, I feel like I would wait for Game Pass, or like if it was $30 or $40, I would buy it. You know, I think when Black Friday comes around, they're gonna have those buy two get one free games. You know, maybe I'll get it for that. But yeah, I thought it would review better. I don't know, what did people say on the reviews? Like, what were some of the things they noticed?
I forgot. I think they said stuff about how the game just really wasn't innovative. It's a very just straight to the point, like shoot, like, you know, third person shooter. There's not a whole lot. It's a lot of duck and cover.
They played it safe a little too much.
Yeah, a little too much. There's no innovation there in that space, and the story isn't like amazing either. So they needed to either hit it out of the park with the story or the game.
Yeah. So I guess a couple last news stories, and then maybe we can switch to some of the stuff we've been watching. Rod Ferguson is leaving Blizzard, where I feel like this guy just is always bouncing around. And I think they interviewed him, and then they said, like, hey, why are you bouncing around? And he's like, I just like kicking games to the finish line, you know, like kind of seems like he's a really good project manager. And like when things are a mess and the scope is way crazy and it seems like something's going to get shut down, he comes in and is like, let's be realistic, let's get this done, and here's the time frame. Yeah, he's good on that.
He probably, like, and again, I'm not going to say he's not good at innovating, but there's some people that are just so good at, like I said, getting you to the finish line, that if he realized that's a skill set, that's fine.
And I feel like that's why him and Cliff Bleszinski work so well together on Gears of War. You know, like I feel like in the creative world, you need a good creative, like you know, inventor, and then you need a good project manager, right, to actually get that project alive.
Yeah, someone that has to, like, hey, we got to cut some scope, reduce this, we have to add here, we need to prioritize this. Like, that's probably him. And honestly, his role at Blizzard, wasn't he the VP or something?
He was really high up there,
or head or something. whatever it was. So like he made a lot of money being there for a couple of years. He helped on Diablo 4 specifically. And now wherever he ends up being or going to, I think a lot of money.
I really wonder where he's gonna go because I feel like with his resume,
He can go anywhere.
He's gonna have to be like a studio head or like a VP. Like he's gonna be at the upper echelon. And so is he gonna make his own studio or is he going to some other studio that's struggling right now?
I think he's gonna find a struggling studio. That's what he wants.
But I'm wondering, what if he goes to Bungie?
I can see it.
Oh, I could totally see him go to Bungie. That would be so funny.
And he'll be one of those people that someone will put a feeler out for, and they'll be like, "Hey, would you be interested in working for Bungie? We're kind of struggling." He'd be like, "Absolutely, really, bring me in."
Man, why couldn't he just go to Perfect Dark?
Yeah, I know.
Why can't we clone him and make 3 of him, and then they just go to he goes to every Xbox studio that's struggling and fixes all the games.
That's so funny.
So I thought that was kind of cool, and I think when we were making the list for the show of what to talk about, you wanted to bring up some points somewhat related to him, right?
Yeah. So I think just recently there were some people, again, some sleuths on the internet that are very keen and noticed that there was a couple of LinkedIn accounts where people noticed that some developers had mentioned they were working on Gears of War, E-Day, and State of Decay 3 for multiple platforms, including Xbox, PC, and PlayStation 5. So I found that interesting. I'm not super surprised now because we're getting Gears 1 on PlayStation.
Yeah.
But State of Decay, a little bit surprised. I don't know. Maybe again, that has been in development hell for so long. They're like, we just need to see the return on this.
I think I kind of felt the opposite. Like I was thinking, okay, State of Decay, you want as big of an audience as possible, right? Like kind of like Grounded 2, right? Like if we can just get more people playing, the more likely it'll be successful. And I thought E-Day would be exclusive for at least a year. Like I thought E-Day was something where you would want to keep that in your back pocket for a while, right? And build up hype and then release it like a year later, right? Because, I don't see the sales getting any better or any worse if it comes out on PlayStation at the same time. So to me, it's like you're still going to make like 100 million whether you release it on PS5 in 2026 or 2027, right? So like just like Forza Horizon 5, like it did not matter when you released that game. That sold so well for you.
5 years,
right? And I think it already made like $200 million or something crazy on the PlayStation 5. So like to me, it's like if you know there's a game that's that strong, like you shouldn't feel as rushed to make it back to back. Like Indiana Jones was still, maybe questionable because it's a new franchise, right? Yeah. But Gears is going to sell very well, right?
But maybe it could be a time exclusive. Maybe they do a 6-month waiting period or something.
Maybe. And what if they just have the PlayStation version already and they're like, no, we're going to chill.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it.
And then make you guys wait. Maybe.
That's probably what happened with Indiana Jones, to be fair. I mean, they only released it 4 months after it was released.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be that easy to port it over, right?
It's not. It takes a little more time. It has to be pretty
far along in the PlayStation.
Exactly. So, again, just found that interesting. So, I mean, maybe I'll finally play Gears for the first time on PlayStation.
Dun, dun, dun. Won't that be something? Now, I guess we can finish up talking about some of the stuff we watched. I think out of all of them, the one I wanted to talk to you the most was probably Fantastic Four, because we haven't had a chance to talk about that yet. So, what do you think of the movie?
I mean, I thought it was interesting. A lot of these movies that are being remade don't hit the same way when I first watched the original films like years prior. So, is the casting good? Yeah, it's like not bad. The story is a lot more interesting. I think they did it right. Like, they had Silver Surfer. Again, spoilers for people who haven't watched it. They had Silver Surfer in this film, which they did have in the original Fantastic Four movie and the sequel, but they just didn't do it as well. They had Galactus in here, which I thought was a little weird because when they first introduced Galactus, he seems like this huge, powerful being. And then when he gets dropped off into New York or wherever they're at, he looks a lot smaller in size, which was really weird. And then overall, like, Pedro Pascal, dude, this guy, in every single show movie now, but, like, he did okay. Like
I think he's good. I think, like, people go to Pedro because he's reliable.
He's reliable,
like, and I'm not going to try and sound like a Pedro hater, but, like, when you book Leonardo DiCaprio, like, you're getting, like, The Revenant, like, something that's just, wow, 10 out of 10. But I don't think he has the most range, and then when you book, like, Leonardo DiCaprio, like, I think he has amazing range, but, like, sometimes it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
But I feel like with Pedro Pascal, whatever you give him, like, he's going to make it work.
Yeah.
So if it's really good writing, like he's really gonna shine with it. If it's really crappy writing, he'll still make it work.
Yeah, it makes
You
it
know,
work.
so like I think he's just like an easy get for Hollywood right now, right?
Yeah.
And people like him a lot across the board. There's not a lot of drama with him. I think he's just, and I don't mean this in a bad way. I think he's the safe, reliable, and good option, right?
Yeah.
And every once in a while, he really hits it really good. Like I
Yeah.
think his performance in Last of Us was terrific, right?
Yeah.
But then I think about his performance in Wonder Woman
It was
too,
horrible.
and it's like I know you didn't have a lot to go with, but it's
Yeah.
like maybe you should have taken that role,
Yeah, maybe
you
I should
know?
have taken that. Yeah, so I agree with that. I think like how does this like this is kind of somewhat removed from the MCU. Like it tries to be a standalone, and then like I have an idea of where it potentially might go because obviously, did you see the post credit scene?
I did. I'm trying to remember what it was.
There's Doctor Doom,
Yeah, yeah,
who is obviously going to be the main villain of Avengers Doomsday. So it's interesting to know that for those that haven't read the comics, their baby, because they have a kid in this movie, is an all powerful being that has infinite powers, basically, because that's what Galactus basically mentions. Like, hey, this baby could supersede me or be my successor, and I need this baby. So it's like, okay, you're introducing a brand new set of heroes for the first time in one film, and you're like, here's this baby that's all powerful. And now
yeah,
you're tying it into this whole like it's a little too quick. They're again
yeah,
jumping the gun.
yeah.
No build up.
So I think for me, like I had mixed feelings about Fantastic Four. Like I think some of the good that I had, if to me it was like one of the more recent Marvel movies I could follow along with. Like I get your point about like it was like a really quick build up, but I think when I compare it to some of the other stuff Marvel has done with all their like multi universal and Loki and we're
Too
just
much.
too much, right? And at least here you were able to focus
Contained.
in on family
Yeah.
and something we all can relate to and
Yeah.
understand. So I think that was smart, you know? I think the tool they used to skip telling us the Fantastic Four origin story was
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah,
It
it was
was so
nice.
clever having that TV show,
Yeah, the TV
whatever.
show.
That was a really nice way of doing all that. So that was good. I think for me, where the movie really fell flat, you build up Galactus so much, and he's like a threat level of Thanos, if not more.
Yeah.
And it's like, it kind of felt like you couldn't completely fail because you had Galactus,
Yeah.
right? And so, you're going to get at least an 8, right? But at the same time, why did you use him now? Why
Yeah.
couldn't you have just kept him for the moment where, like, oh, this is perfect, you know?
Yeah. I agree with that. And like again, there were some really shining moments in this film where like when they go to meet Galactus for the first time and then they
Yeah.
get near that black hole and they get the silver surfer to
Oh,
get
I thought
sucked
that was
up
so good.
with a time dilation. Like that was sick.
Oh, I felt the tension in that
Yeah,
scene.
like
Yeah,
that was like really
so
good. Like you thought the silver was gonna f them up, right? Like okay, this is insane. But then the other thing is like again, this movie was somewhat of a means to an end because when I compare a bunch of like superhero films, I keep going back and I just hate to do this, but like I go back to The Dark Knight and it's like it was its own separate thing. Or I'm looking at the new Batman film, right, with Matt Reeves too. It's like they're putting a lot of thought into that writing and like the world, and they're doing some world building, and like like it's not supposed to lead to anything. It's just like this riveting story. Here's just like, hey, we just got to get to the next step. Like here's the Fantastic Four. They're a bridge to our next part of our
yeah,
story.
I couldn't agree with you more. So, and I think I can bring in like some of my experience, like when I'm writing. I think a lot of times when I'm writing, it's either I'm trying to get from like point A to B, right, and I'm like, okay, I just have to get there, right, and so I come up with this whole story and characters that can get me there, but I'm actually not loving the journey between A and B, right?
Mhm.
Like it is a means to an end, right? As opposed to I start off by saying, "Oh man, this is epic,"
Yeah.
and then writing backwards from, "Oh, this is such an epic place to be and an epic setting, and now let's make this work," right? And so I think like they knew that they had to set up the future and course correct so much,
Yeah.
and they had to juggle that with like let's just enjoy Fantastic Four, and I think they made it work, but it's not like they did it like like a slam dunk.
Yeah, it wasn't sad. It dilutes the experience a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because you're just waiting for it to like what's the conclusion? How does it tie into the world overall? And again, they found a decent balance. I'm not like I said,
Yeah.
they didn't shoehorn a bunch of other heroes and stuff, but then just see Doctor Doom at the end was like,
So,
really?
and I don't know if you felt the same way that I did. And I never watched the second Fantastic Four movie, so I'm just kind of comparing it from the nostalgia lenses of my first movie. But I feel like I liked the Human Torch and Thing better in the original,
Yeah.
and in this one, I didn't really care for their
Either.
side stories,
Yeah.
which weren't even fleshed out. Like the Thing, like this girl, and then he just like said
Yeah.
hi and left. I was like, there was supposed to be a side story
Yeah.
here, and it just got axed. And then like with the Human Torch, like it was so obvious where the story was going.
Yeah.
There was I was just waiting for it to get there,
Yeah.
right?
Same.
So the only people that had a really good story were the couple,
The
right? Like
couple
Mr. and
Sue
Mrs.
and
Fantastic, right? And so they really focused on that and they stayed in the moment and they really built that up and it was well done, right? But then the whole experience gets diluted when it's like you're giving me a half measure in other parts,
Yeah.
right?
I agree with that. Like again, that's why I'm like, for a 2 hour film, like this probably should have been a show rather than a movie, in my opinion.
Yeah. Or yeah, and it's just like couldn't you have just cut out like some of the scenes with the Thing and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Like like if you're gonna go all the way, then make it like a full measure,
Yeah.
right? Like
I agree with that too. Again, and that's see they try to build it in with the whole story plot line. They're like, yeah, well, sometimes when you have to like after they find out Galactus is a third, like sometimes you just have to be with your family, and then they show the Thing, and it goes, oh, I kind of like that girl, like she could be my family, like, and then it just
yeah,
nothing.
and that was it, right?
And
That
it's
was
like,
such a weird detour, right?
and then they also played on that whole Johnny thing with, oh, he's kind of in love with Silver Surfer, and then instead he just kind of learns their language. He's like, I know everything about you, and that's it.
Yeah.
And
And it's like they were kind of showing him as the stupid guy who actually has a lot of brilliance.
yeah,
But no, he was just like a poorly written character because like
yeah,
if he instead of like making when he's like talking to Mr. Fantastic, obviously this guy is busy, right?
yeah,
Like and you're actually smart enough to decipher this language. You should
yeah,
be smart enough to be like, hey, I have this cool idea to decipher the language.
yeah,
Like, why can't you just start the
yeah,
conversation
yeah,
there? If you're smart enough to decipher all this, you're smart enough to
yeah,
have the social awareness of what you should say in that moment.
yeah,
Especially when you have such great social awareness everywhere else in the movie.
yeah,
It's just
exactly.
odd, right?
It's odd. It's oddly written.
Yeah.
So
So
I think my like, overall like sentiment on the movie, it's like I want to give it like a 7 out of 10.
I would give it a 7 too. Yeah.
Yeah, like was it better than what was it last two that just came out?
Marvel movies?
Yeah, it was the
Captain-
Captain America thing.
Oh, it was better than oh yeah,
It was better
much
than
better
that.
than that one.
And then there was another one. Too,
Are you thinking about Deadpool or
Thunderbolt.
Thunderbolts.
Like roughly the same for me. Like,
Mm.
like
So nothing that's just like really whiny.
Yeah.
Now I haven't seen it yet. I swear I'm going to watch this soon. Superman.
Oh yeah.
But what do you like better, Superman or Fantastic Four?
Man, great question. I like Superman better.
Okay, and I think people are estimating that Superman's going to sell better too.
Yeah,
actually.
it looks like it is already. It's like at 500 million worldwide.
Yeah.
Or Fantastic.
I know it has like a little bit of a lead, but I think even when you average that out, I think
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this, like, not to keep you in suspense, but I'd give Superman like between a 7.5 and an 8. Like, I would lean towards the 8.
So it's a little better, but not substantially better.
Yeah, a little better, just not substantially better. But they have places to build on that for that movie compared to again Fantastic Four, which is just like it's pre-written. It's already we know what it's going towards.
Yeah, good point. Okay, a couple other things to kind of round things out for stuff we've seen. So I watched Wednesday season 2. I know you haven't seen it. You can probably skip it. Honestly, I think IGN gave it a 6 out of 10.
Wow, not bad.
And I probably agree with them. Like, oh god, it was not great. Netflix keeps doing this part 1, part 2 thing. And I just don't think it's a good idea because a lot of stories, unless you see them all together, you are not going to understand. Like, the story can just be terrible, but that's because it's building up to a moment that's going to have a big payoff.
Yeah,
but then when
the
you have that
second season.
artificial divide, that like tension and buildup gets artificially destroyed, and you kind of have to build up another ramp up. It's just a weird model. And
which means does that mean that the story has been written in a way to
yeah, they kind of like, and I think that Infinity War in a way kind of started things where it's like, Infinity War ended with such an epic thing, right? And because of that, like the next movie was all about the ramifications of that thing that happened, right? And so I think a lot of what I see in Netflix is, hey, let's wait for the moment where in the character arc, in the story arc, we're in Act 2, and usually in Act 2, there's like the rising action, the falling action, and then there's like the point where all hope is lost, right? Which is when Infinity War ended, right? Where point of where all hope is
Yeah.
lost. And now that's what everyone's doing. Like all of these season one, season twos, if you think about it, they always end at that same point. Squid Games ended at the same point.
Yeah.
All hope is lost. Wednesday ends at the same point, and then instead of now having the little bit that remains in season in Act Two, and then now all of Act Three, then they just extend out Act Three as if it's the beginning of another Act One,
Yeah,
Act Two,
yeah,
Three.
yeah. That's
So
exactly.
it's just weird, right? It's just like a different model, and I
Yeah,
felt like personally it worked for Infinity War, but it doesn't always work for everything
yeah,
else because then both have to really really be strong.
yeah. They
And
both have to be strong.
we
You
talked
can't one
about
week.
with yeah,
Yeah, Squid Games season 2 is so weak,
yeah,
and it ended on such a weird ending. It
exactly,
was
right?
like, and then season 3 was actually pretty decent. Like it
Exactly.
was like, I don't know,
And so that's the thing, right? And so
almost seemed like
you
twenty
really
something
need to
shows.
have both being very strong, right?
Yeah,
So I think that was one thing. And then Wednesday, I just feel like it really didn't involve as a show. And like in the first show, first season, it was like the nuance of the show and the novelty was kind of interesting and it was weird. And but this one, I just feel like, okay, Wednesday's weird. I know that already. What's new? Not really. It's just the same old. And then it does, to me, at least get a little old where like Wednesday's just always so much smarter than everybody else and all the adults. And there are some moments where like people outdo her, outsmart her, but like she really does not show any character growth. And it's just like,
like I feel like, and I hate to say this, it's one of those shows where, like, hey, like very empowered female character that just
yeah,
always like every single time she shows up on someone, I was like, yeah, it's like a feel great moment,
yeah.
but like we don't need that every time.
Yeah, after a while it gets kind of tiring,
Yeah.
and it's like, it's like similarly like when you have that male action hero who's just always destroying everything, it's like, okay, yeah, this is like a power fantasy. It's so
Yeah.
cathartic to like see someone destroy everything. Where I'm not a woman, but like I'm sure, being in a world where you're always like feeling oppressed, feeling marginalized, feeling like you're not
Yeah.
heard. Now, if you're seeing someone in a position of power who is in all these
Yeah, you're
scenarios,
rooting for her.
you're rooting for her, and it's cathartic, right?
Yeah.
So I get that. But after a while, I just want to move past that cathartic experience, right? Like I want a character arc. I'm just craving something more, right?
Which like kind of goes back to my point about like the Dark Knight trilogy. We saw Batman lose his loved one. Like this person dies. He sees a bunch of people die. Civilians die. He struggles. He breaks his back. He comes back. Like you see him go through all these
Yeah.
different,
Yeah, and it was still, I mean, Batman. It's a power fantasy,
Yeah,
right?
it's a
Like,
power
who
fantasy.
doesn't want to be Batman? But you still see all those layers of change. Or like, I think of like Kratos in God of War, huge power fantasy.
Yeah.
But then you really see him adopting different roles. Okay, now I'm the destroyer. Now I'm a father. Now I'm
Yeah.
the uniter.
Yeah.
And like, what about my internal guilt? Right? Like, there's more substance there, right? And so, like, I kind of wanted to see that evolution in Wednesday, and I kind of feel like what I'm getting is like a Harry Potter spin. I don't know if you know. There's like 4 houses in Nevermore,
I know.
and so it's like kind of like the inverse Harry Potter. And so I don't know. We'll see what the rest of the season is like.
Yeah.
Me and the wife like watching it together, so we'll watch it. But if I was on my own, I probably wouldn't watch the next
Fair
season.
enough.
So
I may skip until part 2 comes out.
Yeah, and then a couple last shows that I've been watching. I finished watching Stick. I think the last episode came between our last episode and now, and I thought it was pretty good. Honestly, I think the season finale was great. I mean, it was kind of went along the path that I thought it would go along, but it was pretty funny overall. It was a feel good show, so. I'd give that an 8 out of 10. Yeah, I would recommend it. Really, I still think Apple TV is killing it.
Yeah.
And then the other show I started watching on Apple TV, and it's because I'm obsessed with Hawaii.
Chief of War.
Chief of War. And I don't know, man. I feel like I've seen way too much of Jason Momoa's butt. Like, it's just always there.
Like bare naked? Like
yeah, man. He's basically wearing a thong. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, that's just him. He's so muscular, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, I've just seen so much of his cheeks. Like, it's too much.
It's really gay, bro.
And like I'm just like, yeah, okay, no. I mean, it's like he's sick in his role, right? Like he looks like a beast, right? And like the action scenes are intense, right? And they're so visceral and bloody. But yeah, like so that's one of my reactions to the show. But I'm liking the show. It got bad reviews.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, and I think a part of that is it just feels really like dense to jump into, and because like I'm kind of interested in Hawaiian history, like I kind of get a sense of like the unification, and I don't know if you ever knew this, but Kamehameha.
Yeah, it's Hawaiian.
Yeah, he's the King Kamehameha who
Yeah,
united like Hawaii. So because of that, and because I visited Hawaii a couple of times, like it's not just like completely overwhelming, but it can be a lot because they're like talking about this island and that island, but then like when they're bouncing between the islands, they look the same to me. So that's kind of hard to follow, and like the whole show is in Hawaiian for the most part, which I love the authenticity, but it also makes it hard to follow along, right? So that's kind of another barrier. So I think that's what's just making it kind of hard to get through the show because it's just feeling like kind of slow and like really exposition heavy.
Okay.
But the production quality is just superb. It looks amazing.
Just a side tangent. Speaking of King Kamehameha, Muten Roshi, Master Roshi, his house is on an island in Dragon Ball Z. So if you didn't know, they make a parallel where it's like Hawaiian esque.
Oh,
like he lives on a small island.
I never
with
thought
a
of
tree
that. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
I never thought of that. So, but I'm excited to see where the story goes because I've actually been like looking up some of the history. The unification of Hawaii is pretty interesting, right? Like it's a very like bloody. There's a lot of war, so it's supposed to kind of have like that Game of Thrones vibe. But yeah, we'll see. I think the Apple has been really big on like the one episode a week thing.
Yeah,
so it's like it's hard for me to judge what the whole season will be like because I gotta wait forever for it. So, but we'll probably keep watching that one.
Okay, that's fair. The one I started watching, it's called Beyond the Bar. It's a K drama, but it's like pretty good show so far. I've only seen 2 episodes, and I think they're on episode 4 now. They're also doing a once or twice a week release. Very similar to Suits, at least at the beginning. And again, with K dramas, there's a lot of like things that are just not realistic that happen. So I'm like waiting for the ball to drop on this show to drop in quality. But so far, it's been good because it reminds me of Suits in the sense that you have the guy that's an experienced lawyer, and then you have the protege, the guy that like just comes in out of nowhere and just like figures things out, and they get like the most impossible cases, and then they resolve it in the most unrealistic ways. But it's there's something entertaining about it, right? This literally seems the same way. Like they took what Suits did, but just transitioned it a little bit into like the Korean culture.
It has like a Korean flavor.
It has a Korean flavor to it, and
it's like interesting. Yeah,
and I'm like really enjoying it so far.
How'd you find out about the show?
So when I was in Georgia, one of my best friends, his wife loves K drama, and she's like, "Hey, I've been watching the show." She's like, "You want to watch an episode?" I'm like, "Dang, this show's fascinating." And then I'm like, "Have you watched Suits?" She's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "That's why I started watching this." I'm like, "Oh, no wonder." So I don't know.
What's it on right now?
Netflix.
Oh, nice.
And one of the characters from Squid Games is one of the main characters in the show. He's one of the.
Man, you're selling me on the show. Do you think the wife will like it?
Yeah. Oh, I think she'll love it.
Oh, okay. Maybe we'll check it. Honestly, it's been a while since I've seen a good Korean show. I think the last one I saw, which I don't think it was perfect, but it was definitely enjoyable. Was what is it, Bloodhounds?
Bloodhounds, yeah.
That was fun.
That was so fun.
That was a fun show.
Oh,
so maybe I'll check it out. I think for me, like one of the barrier of entries for like Suits is just how many seasons there are.
Yeah, it was
too much. It's just a lot.
That was too much.
And even though I never finished watching all of Suits, I just cannot motivate myself to get through all of those seasons. Yeah. But I'm imagining this is just one season.
It's just one season. And like the first 2 episodes already hit really hard. They get to it pretty quickly. They go from here's this law firm to we're getting first years after graduating from law school to we hit 2 really hard cases. And honestly, they hit really hard. It's like personal things you would see in your life. Like, and I'll give you like a quick, like I won't spoil a whole lot, but like a guy that's like infertile that wants to have kids, but there's something that goes on.
So it's like very relatable stuff.
Very relatable stuff. The other one is, what was the other case? Well, I'm already forgetting, but it was another relatable one. And then they also talk about the lawyers' like personal lives, so like relationships and stuff. And you're like, oh man, like the way it hits. Again, that's
the
what
acting is probably terrific, right?
Yeah, it's like exactly. So I'm like, man, that's why I want to.
I think I'll check it out.
Yeah, you should check it out, and Juby will love it. I think.
Yeah, because I don't know if there's any other shows that are on my radar. Okay. I mean, this is not a show that's on my radar, but I was just gonna mention it to you because I just heard about this today and I was like blown away that this is a thing. Do you know there's an anime version of the Disney villains, and it's like a side project, and it's coming out on Disney Plus soon.
No,
It's called Twisted Wonderland, and
I've
so
not
I
heard of
know the
this.
people on the podcast can't see, but I'm gonna show Arjun a picture. But look at this, dude. Look at the picture of all the characters.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
super anime. These are like the famous Disney villains.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, like Maleficent, Ursula, Scar. They're literally anime villains now.
Okay. So is this gonna be a show? Is this gonna be
Yeah,
a
it's gonna be a show on Disney, and it's just like what? Like, but that's the thing. Like, man, a lot of these Eastern shows, they're just like blowing up, right? And I feel
yeah.
like people are noticing,
Yeah.
and so
Look,
Disney's on that,
look, they're making Star Wars Visions. Have you
Yeah.
seen that anime?
I saw the first season. Not
Okay. Second season wasn't so good because they went from traditional Japanese anime to more Western animations. So like,
Yeah, I think that's why I didn't end up watching it.
right. But now they're making a third season where they're going, I think, back to anime, and they're making a side spin-off from one of the season 1 episodes and making it its own show, and it was one of the anime like based.
Oh, that'd be so
I was
good.
like, dang. So now I think they've recognized again, like there's a place to stay. Like anime has a place in Western
Anime,
culture.
and I just feel like Korean dramas.
Korean
like,
dramas.
Everyone loves those things. I'm
You know.
sure there's gonna be Korean House soon.
Yeah. Oh
If
yeah.
not
I'm
already.
sure.
I want to watch
Sure.
Korean House.
Like I'm telling you, there's probably a lot of shows we've slept on, like
Oh,
Korean
yeah.
shows that we slept on. That again, we used to watch a lot of gangster films, but I think
Oh,
the
yeah.
K dramas, I think there's some decent ones that.
It's just there's so many of them, and like back in the day, like my parents used to have Korean foreign exchange students, so I
Right.
could like go talk to them and be like, "Hey, there's all this stuff I'm seeing, but what will I like?"
Yeah.
And they were able to tell me, right? But like I don't have that connect anymore. So I guess we do know some Korean people. Maybe I can ask. You
Yeah.
know, I just think like every time I go on Netflix, there's just so much
Yeah,
that
it's so
I don't even
overwhelming.
know like where to begin.
Well, let's see. That's the thing. I'm recommending Beyond the Bar because I watched it. If I hadn't watched it, we
Yeah.
would have never known.
So true.
And I got recommended that show from someone else, so it's like, yeah, hard, but yeah, that's all I got. So
Cool. So I think that covers most of the stuff we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So I guess in closing, is there anything you're looking forward to for the rest of August? I don't know if there's any
Gamescom.
big games coming. Oh yeah, the
Just
games
Gamescom because Xbox will be there. They're going to showcase the ROG, Xbox Ally X, and Xbox.
Maybe give
Ally.
us a release date.
They'll probably have a release date, and right now the leak or the rumor is they'll come out mid-October. So
Oh, that's really close.
yeah, supposedly if it does come out, it might come out with Silksong. So Hollow Knight Silksong. See. But yeah, that's about all I'm looking forward to the rest of August. I think getting back now into the fall season, like I really want to just get to Donkey Kong and start watching some more shows. I started. Oh, I did forget to mention this. I started watching Star Wars Andor.
Oh yeah. How far are you? I think you're on like episode 2 or 3.
Yeah, I'm on 4 now.
Oh, you're making progress.
Yeah, like again, I don't see what the hype is so far. I mean, maybe everyone will say like wait till you get later in the show, but I don't.
I think people are saying that like it's later in the show, and really like season 2 is like when people like really found love.
Okay.
So
I'll
okay,
see.
keep me posted. I guess I forgot to bring this up. I didn't feel like it. I really need to spend much time on it, but I played Wukong. Not Wukong. Wu Chang. Fallen Feathers, and yeah, I was disappointed. I thought it was clunky, and I kept dying in like the dumbest way. Not because of the combat, but just I kept falling
Okay.
because the checkpoint was right next to the ladder, and I just like spawn fall. And then if you die enough times, like a demon comes and kills you. And I could probably kill the demon, but I was next to this ladder, so like I couldn't maneuver, so I kept falling off the ladder. And I was just like, okay, I'm done. It's just like, and it just felt kind of clunky to me. Even though it graphically looked good, like when you're actually playing it, like it didn't feel that modern to me. So
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed from that. So, and I think like that was one of the big Game Pass games I was looking forward to.
Yeah, that was one.
So really, I don't think there's any big game in August I'm looking forward to. So it's probably not going to be until like October when I feel like a lot of the games I'm looking forward to are coming out.
You're not going to get Borderlands 4 on release date, September 23rd.
I mean, if Borderlands 4 scores over 85 Open Critic, then I will very likely buy it.
I think it will.
I think it probably will too. So I forget about that. That one just feels so far away, but I guess it's pretty close by.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right, that's it for now, everybody. Take care.
See you
Peace.
guys next time. Peace. Bye-bye.